What is the dumbest controversy of the last 10 years? Flat Earth crap. I thought people were just arguing for it for the memes till I met an actual flat earther. I also thought the same until my dad had a coworker like that. They were both experienced engineers. Dude had quality education. It was bizarre he'd believe something like that, and not only that, he kept bothering my father to watch videos about it and discuss it during work hours. Eventually dad had enough and said he had no interest in any of that. Dude was offended. He stopped the BS but would make snark comments here and there. It was kinda surreal meeting one IRL. All the people I've known who believe that kind of crap just throw it out casually in the middle of conversation. Try to keep your expression neutral while a guy tells you that the Earth is flat and 9/11 didn't happen because the Twin Towers were holograms. I had this happen recently, but in a slightly different way. I was recently laid off and was on the phone talking with a guy I've known for a while and genuinely liked who worked for one of my vendors. Suddenly it was like, oh, we don't work together anymore, so I can let the mask slip a bit. He started talking about all sorts of conspiracy stuff, QAnon. Probably would have gotten to holograms and flat earth and chemtrails if I hadn't changed the subject. Was really weird because I've talked to this guy for hours over the years and hung out with him in person and never got an inkling of this. Then when I moved things on, it didn't come up again while we were talking. He's helping me out with some contacts he has that may help in my job search, but I'm thinking this could get weird if I don't keep him at arm's length. Thing is, a lot of the time it's not about actually believing the Earth is flat, but about having an identity through belonging on a group, and they mail their personality on that identity and try to bring people they perceive outside into the group. Many of the negationist beliefs we experience currently aren't but the byproduct of the severe overlook on mental health we've had on the past century, and this one, too many people trying to grasp at the grips of their mental health whatever the method. The best part is not only do they assume gravity isn't real when you can very easily demonstrate it, but they also don't believe any photo is real BC of NASA and CGI. That is despite the fact we have pictures showing the curvature that predate NASA and any type of CGI. Then the final nail in their coffin of idiocy is when they attempted not one, not two, but 3 independent tests, all of which proved a curved Earth. Watching their brows furrow as their brains are fighting an internal struggle of how do we invalidate a scientific test we performed that told us our hypothesis was wrong. Let's say you're at lunch with Randy and Mark. Randy: the Earth is flat. You: so guys, what did you do last night? Mark: Randy just said the Earth is flat, we going to ignore that? You: oh, Mark, don't be silly. Randy doesn't really exist. Randy: yes I do. You: Randy is just a robot programmed with Al. He is a lie made up by the government to convince us that the Earth is flat, because the government wants us arguing about whether the Earth is flat or round, so we ignore their misdeeds. Randy: but I'm right here. You: oh come on, Mark, don't let Randy fool you. I'm on to you, Randy. I know you're just advanced artificial intelligence in a robot body, you can't fool me. Randy: but I'm human. Look, flesh, blood. You: Randy, you're programmed to think you're human. That's how you can be so convincing to others, but I know the truth. Your flesh is just a hyper-realistic latex, and your blood is just blood donated to the Red Cross that is stored inside your body. Your programming makes sure that if your exterior is damaged, it sends this blood to the damaged area to help keep up the ruse. Now I really want to do this to someone. The QAnon one, yes. There are many to choose from, where JFK Jr. was really alive or was coming back from the dead. To somehow crown Trump president. I'm pretty sure QAnon was at least in part just some really epic trolling. Whoever started QAnon was doing some epic trolling. The problem with being anonymous is, you're anonymous. There's literally nothing stopping someone else from taking over QAnon, which is almost certainly what happened. Now it's an elaborate scam to remove dollars from morons and forward various racist shit. Jade Helm. The idea that Obama was going to invade, conquer and occupy Texas like it was France and turn it into part of his own personal empire, and do it with just 1,200 troops. My asshole coworker who fell for that shit and won't acknowledge it even happened now is the same fool who told me there were crisis actors at Sandy Hook. We just have a whole big population of people who are absolutely desperate to be in the know. It strokes the same instincts that make things like Harry Potter popular. Some secret thing that everyone could see but no one sees. If you're in that group, you have a kind of power and standing over others, and a big chunk of our population is aching to feel that smug sense of superiority. These kinds of people aren't going away anytime soon. It'd be nice if there was something constructive we could sink their teeth into instead of BS that actively creates public health issues and antisocial behaviors. My local Freemasons are basically dying and gone, but that would have been a good way to channel this dipshittery in the past. We need some new variant, a secret society that builds houses or something. It's important to remember that just because we have an incredible amount of new information about the world around us, we're still using the same meat to process it as we were using to determine who was a witch in Salem. Humans are exactly as smart and exactly as stupid as we've ever been. I'm convinced we're basically DDoSing half of the population with the 24-hour news cycle. Their buffers are overrunning, and that allows anyone with access to execute code remotely. I'm sure I've butchered that metaphor, but it works for me. Point is, I think a lot of meat hardware is getting overwhelmed. The fact no one can make up their mind about eggs. One year, it's the egg white that's bad. Another year, it's the yolk that's bad but the egg white is good. Then the next year, it's no everything about the egg is bad, so cook it a specific way to make it healthier. I just want everyone to make up their minds and let me eat my eggs in peace. Thank you for all the upvotes. I'd like to thank all the users that explained eggs are fine to eat as long as it's in moderation, like most foods. Also, I did not know who Lewis Black was before this post and did not mean to copy his bit about eggs. I made this post as something I have seen over the years on the news and in my high school health classes. Reminds me of the articles that come out every week with varying proof about whether drinking a glass of wine every night is good for you or bad for you. They've been flip-flopping on that since I can remember back in the 80s. Once they modified their data to account for the wealthier than average lifestyles of participants who drank moderately, the apparent benefits of any alcohol evaporated. Basically, the studies you're referencing actually only proved that being wealthy helps you live longer. Wealthy people also tend to drink more moderately than less wealthy people. Thus the studies falsely concluded that a glass of wine is beneficial instead of the real fact that having money leads to a healthier life in general. This is why it's important to control for as many factors as possible when designing an experiment. I have a friend that just came out as gay. Well, he didn't really come out as it. He posted a thing on Instagram doing a funny dance with a guy and a caption that said #boyfriendgoals, and his mother found it. She's now 100% convinced he's gay because of the COVID booster shot he got a few weeks ago. She was freaking out about it like, people tried to warn me that those fucking things cause shit like this and I didn't listen. I made him an appointment anyway. Now she's doing everything in her power to pray the gay away. That's all she can do since he's an adult and she can't do something crazy like send him to conversion therapy or something. Vaccines. It used to be normal to lose at least some of your kids to childhood illnesses, and vaccines changed all that. It's one of the best things science has ever done for humanity. Now we have people that won't get shots for themselves or their kids, and measles outbreaks are getting more common. Yeah, it's dumb. It's not like you have to get every flu shot, but the basic ones are important. In Finland we have national program where everyone can get various shots in various ages for free. It has 13 different things, including measles, now also includes chickenpox. Turns out that people who get chickenpox as a child are more likely to get possibly very painful shingles when they are old, so it's now recommended to take the vaccine instead. Vaccines exist for a reason. Someone might make money with them, but that does make them a hoax, nor is there any evidence it would give people autism. Vaccines have always been controversial. It's just repackaged every several years and seems like a new thing. Matter of fact, if you read about some of the key events that happened in the 1800s when we were trying to eradicate smallpox, there's a couple things that stand out. Black circle the timeline of events is eerily similar to COVID. For example, after the vaccine became more common, more contagious yet milder versions of smallpox started to spread, causing people to argue that vaccines were unnecessary. It's just a mild illness, rabble rabble. This is the exact same thing that happened with Omicron. Black circle. Some of the extreme government overreach that people think is happening now, actually happened while eradicating smallpox. For example, people would be detained by police for resisting the vaccine, and would either be forced to vaccinate, or they would be arrested and then forced to vaccinate at the jail. Vaccine hesitancy was also a lot more understandable back then, because to them, vaccines were a new concept. Injecting someone with a live or dead version of a virus sounds kind of Frankenstein-y. But more importantly, institutions were new. They thought they stood in people's way. If I want to call myself a doctor and a healer, why should I have to go through years of schooling and make a board happy? I should just be able to produce whatever concoction I want, and sell it to people as I want, and claim it's medicine. Making people suddenly have to earn high degrees, go through more difficult hoops to legally call yourself a doctor or healer, was viewed as taking away from the common man. They tookerjibs, if you will. So they didn't trust institutions, especially when those institutions were working with the government to tell them they have to get a vaccine. The main difference between then and now is that people think they're oppressed, and they think they're having their rights taken away, but they're actually being treated with kid gloves. How polarized we have become as a society, and the way social media algorithms are driving us all apart. It's a major factor in many of the other suggestions I'm seeing in this post. Flat earthers are being kept in echo chambers that only ever reinforce their beliefs because it makes them engage more on social media, for example, but this is applying to almost every talking point in society now, and it's driving everyone apart. We all know it's happening, but there's no suggestions on how we stop it because it's a byproduct of big business, and you can never stand in the way of profits.